Who won that? Goosen?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me today. My name is Casey Bork. I'm with a company called Web Design Phoenix. I know most of you in the room here, but I know some of you I haven't met yet, so look forward to meeting up with you later on today. Really appreciate you having me. It's been a good time consulting here over the last few months. We started in August with you guys, sort of digging into how you guys are marketing yourselves, how you're winning net new business, how you're getting new golf management contracts, and also how you're able to deliver value to the end customers, and by virtue of that, delivering value to club owners. So don't have much time. We're squeezing probably about 30 hours of discussions and planning and strategy talks into this little 1 hour session. So I'm going to move quickly. Glad to answer questions on the tail end or to have back channel conversations with any of you later on if you'd like. So if any of this stuff strikes a chord. So just going to brush through today's agenda. I'm going to give a quick background on myself just so you know where I'm coming from. Talk about golf management as a franchise model and the opportunity that exists there, I believe. Going to do a little marketing 101. I know not everybody in the room is a marketer, and some general sort of observations that I've made through research and discussions with you guys and other groups in the golf management industry. So I also have seen some very clear marketing vulnerabilities by auditing what other companies are doing, that sort of stuff. I want to talk about our quote unquote content machine. So content is often the answer. Producing better, more relevant content is the answer for a lot of these problems that companies are facing in terms of driving awareness and bringing business in the door, or at least opportunities for business in the door. But I want to talk about how a content machine, quote unquote, will work, and what that will all look like in the end. And then we'll just do a little Q&A. So with that, I'll move forward. Okay, quick background on myself, just for context. My professional career sort of split into two halves. So when I graduated from Florida Southern College in 1999, studied marketing and finance, got into the golf industry, and basically worked every position in golf course operations for the next 10 years that you can think of. Everything from membership director to bagroom attendant, range picker to director of golf, and I worked at a mostly private clubs, a couple resorts as well, but bounced around in typical PGA golf professional fashion. Did some playing too, managed to sneak into a US Open, did make a cut on the PGA Tour, so had some playing side stuff too. But back in 2009, I was a director of golf at a club out in Phoenix called Moon Valley Country Club. It's where Annika shot her 59, and Luis Solheim was living on the 10th hole there, and it was all big ping country out there. So I was a director of golf there. I was there for a few years, and they were with the market sort of going down. The club was going through a little tough time, and they were cutting my salary. They had me cut about 40% of my staff. I had 22 people working for me. I had to let go about 10 people, getting really lean, and so I was really feeling the pinch. They were paying me a lot less. Tough at home. I had a little girl at home, so it just wasn't working for me. So I decided to jump ship and go and do some business development with my wife, who was running a little web development agency, and started leveraging my sort of marketing and finance skills to negotiate and bring in new business in the door. So the second half of my professional career has been in web development, online marketing, and working with mostly mid-sized companies of different types, shapes, and sizes on their online presence, and working with them on how to leverage the tools available to bring business in the door, to improve their systems of marketing and sales. So all kinds of different types of companies. About a third of our business is in golf. So naturally, with my golf background, we've been able to have conversations with a lot of golf related companies. So That's my quick background just for a little context as we get going here. So over the past couple years that I've been researching the golf management industry, consulting with a couple different golf course management companies, I'm fascinated by this dynamic that exists where management companies try as hard as they can to get their brand, to get their logo placed at their facilities. And facility owners are reluctant to do so. So it's always this battle where the management company is trying to push their brand into the local ecosystem, and golf course owners are resistant. And to be honest, you can't blame the golf course owners, right? Their brand, the club brand, carries more weight. It has more leverage in the local marketplace where the golf course exists. Makes a lot of sense. But so in thinking about all this, I compare the golf course management industry to a franchise model. So if you are a self-managed facility, you're very much like as if you were starting your own restaurant, and you can either choose to do it yourself. So you figure it all out, you set stuff up and you market and you run your thing by yourself, or, you're Joe's hamburger shop, or you buy into a franchise like Subway or McDonald's. And there are two big reasons why you would ever buy into a franchise. Number one is the processes. So you're streamlining proven processes, the training, your operations are going to be ramped up quicker. You get some buying power, you get some expertise that you can leverage. You can speak with people that have been there, done that. That's sort of the processes, the efficiency that you gain. The other half of the equation is brand recognition. And the top brands in the world are the ones who own the loyalty, the trust, and the attention of the end consumer. Think of McDonald's. The minute you set up a restaurant with the McDonald's logo, you're going to win business, people walking in the door on day one that you would never have as Joe's hamburger shop, right? So that is the biggest reason why people buy into the franchise. You can figure out the processes stuff, and the buying power is great and things, but unless you got people coming in the door, you're never going to survive. And that's the biggest reason the top line revenue and the loyalty and the trust and the understanding of the end consumer is where the value in the franchise model is. That's why McDonald's and Subway and these top end franchises can charge so much for buying into the system. So in golf course management, it's the same thing, except golf course management companies are trading on processes and expertise and buying power. Those are not differentiators. Those are commoditized now. So if you're not bringing buying power and expertise and experience and processes and training to the table, you can barely even count yourself as a golf course management company anymore, right? Those are table stakes. That's what gets you into the game. Those aren't differentiators. Those are reasons why golf course owners would choose a golf management company. That's why they think, okay, maybe golf management is something for us. That's not why they choose your golf management company. You need something more. And what happens is right now, golf course management companies are pushing their way into the room with golf course owners saying, hey, you need to buy into our system because we have great processes and buying power. Golf course owners are reluctant because they see it as an expense. They don't see the revenue stream on the back end that's going to be some multiple of whatever they're paying the management company, right? The minute that a golf course management company can build brand to the point where their brand is more identifiable at the local level and more trusted, and people are loyal, and maybe there's cross-pollination from one facility to another, or maybe it's geocentric, right? If you're focusing on a certain part of the country, might be more powerful. It's certainly possible to target audiences in different demographics and different geographic centers in the country where you see opportunity. But the minute that brand becomes more powerful, the minute that owners understand that buying into that ecosystem, buying into that brand, putting that brand or partnering with that brand, bringing that into their facility is going to bring golfers that they wouldn't have otherwise had any chance of acquiring. That's when owners start chasing the management company and not the opposite. And that's when the table's going to tilt. And that's when the companies that focus on brand and building this brand recognition at the customer level, not the ownership level, right? I'm talking about the end consumers, control the end consumer. The minute that happens, golf course owners are going to be chasing that management company. They're already seeing that with some of the big guys. Like Troon kind of does that sort of stuff. Their brand does carry some weight, right? But the little guys, not so much. It's a battle to get their logo on the door. And I see that as a big problem for the little guys. And I think they're going to get pinched out of the market if they can't figure out a way to gain the attention of the end consumer, just because they're missing such a huge part of that franchise model equation. If you think about it, attention to the end consumer is exactly why everybody's so beholden to the Golf Nows of the world. That's where people go to get tee times. Like it or not, they're delivering content that end consumers find helpful and efficient, and that's where they go. So unless we have a better option to garner the attention of end consumers, golf course owners are going to be beholden to those third-party tee time providers. It's really that simple. So every message that we're putting out is either selling something or branding. So branding is all about delivering value, building trust. Selling something is extracting value, getting somebody to come to us and pay money or do something. You know what I mean? So we need to be very careful about the mix of content that we put out there in terms of how much are we branding, how much are we selling. Brand is a long-term play. Selling is short-term gains, and branding comes at the expense of perpetual selling, you know? So I just believe that the future of golf course management is going to be predicated on brand recognition and not on processes and expertise and that stuff. That stuff is commoditized. That stuff everybody's got. It's not a differentiator. Make sense? A little bit of 101 before we get a little deeper into that stuff. So some things that we know about golf is what we call a considered buying process. It's not like buying a candy bar, right? So what a considered buying process is the more financial or emotional risk that something carries, the longer or the more research we're going to do, the longer timetable that it's going to require for us to make that decision. So candy bar, you buy a candy bar, you don't like it, you throw it away, big deal, it's $1. Buying a house, buying a golf course membership is going to require a lot more investigation, okay? And what we find in golf is that people don't go from having never played golf to buying a $30,000 membership. What they do is they wade into the water, they come out, they try it. Oh, this is kind of fun, but they're still reluctant. And by the way, risk is not just financial. It's not just shelling out the 30 grand. The risk is also social. And, you know, will I fit in? Oh, that's a big barrier, right? We know that with beginners. They show up and they're unsure of themselves. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. They don't have the skills. They feel inadequate. They don't know anybody. Maybe they're new in town. So what we need to do is to have a system to indoctrinate them into that system slowly and surely at their own pace. But knowing that the amount of money and the amount of time and how sticky our customers are going to be in golf is commensurate with their skill level, with their social engagement, and how competent and how accepted that they feel in the system. And everybody moves at their own pace. So we're not going to go from having never tried golf to a $30,000 membership. So what we need to do is build a stair step, and I'll get into that in just a second. So the other thing we need to know in marketing is that over the past, since the start of the internet, we have what's called a consumer power shift. So think about how you make these really important decisions in your life. So, you know, if you're going to buy a car, in the old days, step one would be to go to a dealership and start talking to a salesperson, and the power resided with the dealerships because they had the information on the cars. They were the ones that were safeguarding that information. That was the only way to really get information. So you had to go talk to a salesman, take their word for it, and you would initiate contact with salespeople much earlier in the process. Today, think about how you buy a car. You would never just wander over to a random lot and start talking to a salesperson without having first researched online, looked at specs, think about what you want. You'd probably have a short list of 3 or 4 cars that you're considering. And by the time you get to the lot, you're probably decided more or less, and you're just thinking about, color and some add-ons, things like that. So in the old days, information was safeguarded with companies. Nowadays, consumers are highly informed. They make most of their important decisions before they ever initiate contact with companies. And what this means as marketers, for these considered buying processes, for these longer sort of high value buying processes, we need to deliver a lot more value early on in order to compete for customers' attention. And this is the only way. If we're not competing up front, delivering value, sharing our secret sauce early in that buying process, we're never going to hear from them. Okay? We're not on their radar screens, and they're researching, and they're going to go to whoever begins that sort of building trust, building that process of giving them sort of helping them proceed along in their journey. Okay? So sharing secret sauce is really, in my opinion, a thing of the past. And I battle with companies on this a lot right now because the default setting is, we don't want to give them everything they need, so then they don't need us anymore. Well, yeah, that might be true in certain instances, but the execution in golf management is the secret sauce anyway, right? Everybody knows that you got buying power or you got training, and well, how you train and how you treat your staff and how you go about your business and the execution on a day-to-day basis and the talent that you have and all of those things, that's the secret sauce anyway. So when you start talking about your set of beliefs and how you guys do things, don't worry about sharing that. That's going to have a much better chance of striking a chord, delivering value to somebody who is going to move into our ecosystem and then later maybe want to engage in conversations and have discussions about hiring us. So sharing secret sauce up front to compete for that awareness and attention. Okay, this is what we use every day in our agency. This is the world's simplest marketing formula. So this is, again, I'm compressing all this stuff so much, but so it starts out with who. Who are we chasing? So we start generally with buyer personas. So in golf course management, we're looking at golf course owners. We're looking at key staff members who might be able to either make a decision or run it up the flagpole and suggest. So general managers, typically. And then the others are board members. So people that are going to be able to stand on their soapbox and say, hey guys, whatever we're doing isn't working. Let's talk about golf course management. So those are the 3 personas generally that we've been talking about in terms of golf course management. So then we take those people, those who's, right? And each of them have different twists on what their problems, questions, challenges, ambitions are. An owner is going to be different than a board member, right? The owner might be concerned about valuation of the facility because he wants to turn it over in 2 or 3 years. Whereas a board member lives in the community and he's concerned with, the speed of the greens and whatever. So very different things. And so what we do is we take those personas and we think about, okay, what questions and problems and challenges are they facing at each stage of their process? So when they've never even considered golf course management, maybe we have some content that is going to attract their attention and get golf course management in general on the radar screen. Maybe not even necessarily our company, but golf course management in general and help them move along and say, okay, there's golf course management, but I could also sell my facility, or I could lease it, or da da da. There's all sorts of options. Help them evaluate those options, and then assuming golf course management is one of them, then we start talking about why we're the best, that sort of thing. So, but we need to think about where, so that these problems and questions that they have, where are they going for solutions? So are they climbing on the internet and doing Google searches? Are they getting on LinkedIn and asking their colleagues and connections? Are they on social media? Are they are they looking in magazines, or where are they going to find the answers to their questions? Right now, in a lot of places, I believe, I mean, there's a huge underappreciation for the access we have to underpriced attention, in particular in social media. There are so many people that are using social media in the wrong ways, but when you dig deep into it, you can really get targeted and really get the attention of people that you care to get the attention of in very, very small segmented ways, and you can bring a lot of relevance in those niches for very, very low dollar amounts. It's really unprecedented. I've done talks on how that is, and the fact that it's going to go away once the real big companies start catching on to that and they start flooding those markets with their marketing dollars. But that's for another day. So we got our who, our personas. We figure out where they go for finding answers to these questions, and then bait is the material that I just talked about. So sort of mapping out what questions they have, and let's give them the answers, right? Let's deliver value. Let's help them move along and help them have a better life. And that's where the process of building trust and becoming, demonstrating that we're experts and that sort of thing begins. So the stair step, the where, is, the top of that ladder. It might be different for every facility, but, say a private facility is going to be, membership at the club and buying a property in the community, right? That makes people as sticky as possible. Like they're paying memberships every year and they live there and they're going to make that a part of their life. Maybe that's the ultimate, the fish bowl up there. So we're moving the fish up the ladder. But the important part, and the part that I see is missing a lot, is that the early stages of that stair step. The first step might be a free ebook or a presentation that is going to deliver value, or access to certain information, or a free golf clinic if we're talking end users, things like that get people in for minimal barriers to entry, zero cost or little cost, no stress, no fear, no anxiety about social implications, things like that. And then as they get indoctrinated, we're able to upsell them. We're having a better chance to move them up that ladder, because we know that the stickier they get, the higher they move up that ladder, the longer they're going to stick around, and the more money they spend, and the more value that we're able to deliver to them in turn. So it's a two-way street, but that needs to be set up. We need to have an infrastructure for that. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. So go through these real quick because I've touched on some of them, but these are some of the marketing vulnerabilities that I see as we audit other companies out there and what they're doing. So the first one is short-term meism, I call it. So basically it's saying everything they put out there is "we're awesome, look at us." So here's an example. This is another management company, and they're basically saying they were selected to manage this golf course, and it's awesome, great. Nobody really cares about something like, I mean, I'm not against, as a golf course management company, you definitely should announce that you're managing other clubs, I mean. But in auditing this company, they basically put out 21 posts. This was a LinkedIn post. They put in 21 posts in 10 months. And I looked at every one of the posts, and they were all very similar to this. It was, hey, we are awesome. look at what we just did. We just got this management contract, or we just rebuilt this clubhouse. And while that's okay, it's not okay to only do that stuff. That's self-serving. That's, hey, we're the best. Look at us. That wears people out. So what what is interesting about short-term meism is what it is basically persistently trying to extract value from your audience, trying to get your audience to call you, or get your audience to do something, or to to give you something, as opposed to giving value. So extracting versus giving value. Everything you put out there does one of the two. It's either brand building or selling. It's never both. So when we persistently try to extract value, it sabotages trust. People start tuning you out. Worst of all, it's non-cumulative. So as people tune you out, you need to find new audiences, or you basically, people aren't listening to you anymore. So when you really have something cool to give, or you want to try to deliver value, they're not really paying attention anymore, because you've had 21 posts in the last 10 months, which is meager, by the way. 21 posts is nothing. You might as well not even bother. But all 21 of them are self-serving. So nobody's really paying attention, except, and again, I'm looking into these things, and I'm looking into the comments and the people that like it, and the engagement that they have, except other people who are self-serving. You put out self-serving, short-term meism stuff, you're attracting others who are all about meism and trying to extract value from you. Okay? Here's what I mean. If you go into these posts, there are a bunch of vendors. There's a bunch of employees that are trying to move up the ladder, and there's people who are hoping to become vendors. So it's all people that are trying to get in bed with this company, not anybody that's investigating this company to hire them and to deliver value back to them, because all they're doing is trying to extract value from their audience. Really, really big issue, and I believe that companies need to be really, really careful about the ratio of gives versus asks, the extracting values versus delivering values. Most companies are like 9-1. So extract. I'm asking you for stuff, and then every now and then you give a little nugget of information because you had a good day or something. That needs to be flipped on its head. It needs to be flipped upside down. You're giving all the time. Every now and then you get to just straight up ask, and you've built up enough trust and brand equity and authority that people are listening, and it works. Okay. The second vulnerability is what I talked about earlier, a really underdeveloped offerings value ladder, I call it. So, the higher you get up on the ladder, the more profit, the more sticky that our customers are. Higher up on the ladder is much higher barrier to entry, right? If you're talking about end users, golfers coming into a facility, they just want to buy a membership. It's a whole bunch of money, whole bunch of risk. They don't know if the membership culture there is brutal and they're not going to fit in. That's a huge risk to take. What they're much more likely to do, what all of us do, is to wade in the water, go cheap, go brief, check things out, and then slowly progress up that ladder. Could take years, takes a long time sometimes. Not everybody, but having an infrastructure that allows them to do that is super important. It's a farm system, okay? The third thing sort of relates to the first two, to be honest, but having an ineffective nurturing infrastructure. What that helps us to do is to stay top of mind over time. So we know that the first time that somebody hears about our management company, or the first time that a golfer hears about a club, they're probably not going to pull the trigger and buy immediately in that instant. It's not like a candy bar. What we need to do is help them continue their process, deliver value, be entertaining, be helpful, be interesting over a long period of time, stay top of mind in a very intelligent, respectful way, helping them move along over a longer period of time, depending on how long that considered buying process is. And that allows them to progress up that value ladder at a pace that is comfortable for them. They don't feel like, obviously you give them the opportunity to move up that ladder quickly, but you're giving them the option to move up at their own pace. They don't feel like they're being hard sold anywhere, okay? And the value of this, imagine, some of the things that we use are social media, email marketing. Email marketing so misused out there. Everybody sees it as a medium to just fire sales pitches, and it's completely wrong. It really is an unbelievable medium. It's still a relevant medium for delivering value, bringing articles, bringing information to people in a way that is going to keep them engaged and train them to open your correspondences, so that maybe in that 9-to-1 ratio, your give, that one ask, they're going to see it, they're going to appreciate you already, and they're going to open it, they're going to sign up for that event, or they're going to come out, or whatever. Take advantage of the sale that you got going on. So the idea for something like this, we can leverage automation, we can leverage technology for nurturing stuff. We can have, triggers and automations and email sequences and things like that. Stuff that happens behind the scenes. It's always working 24/7, and it's scalable. So it doesn't matter if you're nurturing 4 people or 4,000 people. We can plug it in, and that's why I think of it as an infrastructure, not necessarily a process or something that you got to hire more bodies to do as you grow. So, okay, our game plan. Attention is the currency of business. Before you ever have the chance to tell someone how great you are or why they should do business with you, you first need someone's attention. There's my boy, Gary Vaynerchuk. Attention of a trusting audience is the #1 asset. The end. So I want to show you real quick. This is a 2-minute video of Gary V talking. He's a global icon in marketing. He runs a marketing agency that does, $800 million a year. He works with some of the biggest companies in the world. He fills stadiums talking about this stuff. So check out this video, and I'll circle back in just a couple minutes here.
Before I give you my background, I want to set this up immediately, which is the following. No matter what you do in this room, no matter what business you come from, no matter what position you hold within that organization, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or work at a big organization, there's only one thing that bounds us all together in this room. The #1 thing from a business perspective that ties all of us together in this room is quite simple. At the end of the day, before you tell me how great your SaaS product is, or your service, or how delicious your wine is, or how great you are if you're building your brand, no matter what, before you get a chance to tell me how great you are, or it is, or that is, you need somebody's attention. The #1 thing that everybody here is battling on, the currency of business forever, and everything, by the way, is attention. And the biggest thing that everybody in this room is being affected, and this is worldwide, whether I'm in Asia, South America, the US, obviously the apps are slightly different, the usage is different, but the one thing that is common, the one thing that I absolutely want to spend the majority of my time on is, if you are sitting in this room and you do not understand the slide that I have up there that says, I day trade attention and build businesses, you are very vulnerable in the speed of which the market is changing. If you do not understand that if you are religious or emotional of where you send your message, whether that is print or radio or television or conferences or direct mail or Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat or Tumblr, if you are Before I give you my background, I want to set this up immediately, which is the following. No matter what you do in this room, no matter what business you come from, no matter what position you hold within that organization, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or work at a big organization, there's only one thing that bounds us all together in this room. The #1 thing from a business perspective that ties all of us together in this room is quite simple. At the end of the day, before you tell me how great your SaaS product is, or your service, or how delicious your wine is, or how great you are if you're building your brand, no matter what, before you get a chance to tell me how great you are, or it is, or that is, you need somebody's attention. The number one thing that everybody here is battling on, the currency of business forever, and everything, by the way, is attention. And the biggest thing that everybody in this room is being affected, and this is worldwide, whether I'm in Asia, South America, the US, obviously the apps are slightly different, the usage is different, but the one thing that is common, the one thing that I absolutely want to spend the majority of my time on is if you are sitting in this room and you do not understand the slide that I have up there that says, I day trade attention and build businesses, you are very vulnerable in the speed of which the market is changing. If you do not understand that if you are religious or emotional of where you send your message, whether that is print or radio or television or conferences or direct mail or Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat or Tumblr, if you are emotional, if you draw lines in the sand, if you talk about how you used to do it or how your grandfather built the business or what is tried and true in a 2017 world, you are massively vulnerable.
So, hope that makes a lot of sense, guys. Attention of the end consumer is the currency of business, and it's going to continue to be. The ones who own the attention of the end consumer are the ones who control all the leverage in the equation. It's really that simple. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but also I want to get into the real details of how I plan on executing all of this as well. It's not easy, but we do have a game plan that I think you'll find makes some sense. What we've been talking about really a lot in our conversations is flipping the model on its head. So one part of the research that I was doing, I looked at, so Microsoft, IBM, Wells Fargo, UPS, those are the 4 largest B2B companies in the world. They do most of their business, most of their customers are other businesses, okay, not end consumers. But when you think back of the commercials and the messaging and everything that you see from those 4 companies are targeting end consumers. UPS commercials is talking about, delivering on time and great service and a smiling face coming out of that brown truck. Wells Fargo is all about courtesy, and all the Microsoft the same way. The ads that you see are targeting end consumers because they understand that controlling the attention and winning the attention and trust of the end consumers is what those businesses that they're selling to ultimately want. They're aligning with the businesses of with the clients that they want to win. Okay? So their main goal is to deliver value and win attention of end users, not marketing directly to owners. And I see I think this is a huge opportunity. It's not easy, but it's a huge opportunity for a golf management company out there to work to control what I think of the attention ecosystem. So in whatever niche, and it can be a much more targeted niche if we choose to, but whatever niche we want to be in to control the attention of the end consumer. And what this is going to allow, if we can build trust, build awareness at that end consumer level, now we're tapping into that brand half of that franchise value proposition that all these management companies to this point have been missing out on. Everybody's playing, everybody's trying to differentiate with the processes and buying power, right? What I'm talking about is winning the attention of the end consumer is going to allow us to tap into the brand half. And when we say we've got an audience of 10,000 golfers that like us and trust us and engage with us and listen to what we have to say, we walk in the door with a golf course owner and we say, look, within a 50-mile radius, we've got 4,000 people that know our brand. They play at these 3 other facilities. They're going to come to your facility strictly because our logo is on your door, and they know what they're going to get, they know what they're going to pay, and they know it's going to be solid value. When you can start doing that, you tip the scales, and then you have owners coming to you as opposed to you guys chasing owners. Okay, when they know they've got business coming in the door that's going to there's going to be some multiple, a big multiple of whatever they're paying you. You're going to be able to charge more. You're going to be able to have them come to you, and the business is going to come in the door. It's going to be inbound as opposed to outbound, pushing and perpetually selling. Okay? So we're talking about flipping the typical model on its head. Right now, everybody markets directly to, the good news is it's only like 200 or 300 golf course owners that everybody's chasing, and everybody's trying to say, hey, our stuff is the best, you need to hire our company. Whereas what we could do is look at the ecosystems that those owners are in, find the opportunities, win the attention of their customers, and then go to those owners and say, hey, these customers trust us. That's why you need to bring us in the door. Okay, that's our game plan. Okay, in order to do that, in order to play that attention game, we need to change our mindset. So I believe that we need to become more like a media company as opposed to a processes company. Okay, so that means we got to produce content. And this is a cool statement. This is from Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't follow Gary Vaynerchuk, he's unbelievable. You gotta listen to his stuff. But our mission is to become the TV radio station, the station, rather than the commercials on that station. So when you make a social media post or you shoot out an email, a lot of companies are the commercials. Hey, come sign up for this event. Come buy our stuff. We're awesome, right? Those are commercials. Those are interruptive. Those are pains in the ass. The radio station is NPR, where you sign on, you listen because they're delivering value. It's interesting. It's informative. They're delivering value. And every now and then you hear a commercial on that and you're cool with it. That's where we want to be. Hope I've convinced you. Winning the attention of the end consumer is where this game is going to be played, especially as more automations, more technology comes about that allows us to deliver more relevance at scale to these audiences. The company that commits to that first and wins the attention, builds brand, is going to win the business because that's what the owners want, and that's when they're going to come to you guys. Okay? So how do we build a following? Nowadays, I picture there's three ways, and this works in real life as well. So when you think of the cool people that you like hanging out with, you like them for these same reasons. So all we're talking about is doing the same thing at scale. So the first way is to curate content. So this is finding stuff out there, stuff that other people have written or other videos or other things, cool stuff that you can share or talk about or add context to, add your opinions, but you're basically finding stuff that's out there that's cool. And these are the friends you have that always seem to have a cool story or a cool experience or something they read or something they saw, and they're telling stories, their own stories, but they're leaning on the curated content, the stuff that they saw. They've got experiences, right? We can do that as a company. Very easy. You can set stuff up. You can listen in on hashtags, and you can be listening, and you can sign up for stuff. And when good stuff comes, you share that with your audience at scale. Pretty easy way to engage with your audience and to demonstrate that it's not all about you. That's a very cool thing. The second way is to engage thoughtfully with other people's content. So the people that you're talking to in real life, if you're just sitting there talking about yourself, like, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to do that, people are very quickly going to tune you out. I don't know why companies think that they can do that on the internet. People do the same thing on the internet. They're going to tune you out. You just don't see it. You don't know it. So engaging thoughtfully with other people's content is a really good thing. It shows that you're listening. You're a listener. You're a good citizen, as opposed to just belting out self-serving bullshit. Okay. So Gary Vee has what he calls a $1.80 strategy, and I can get into that at some other point. But it's basically going into platforms, looking at your audience, your target audience, see what they care about, what they're interested in, comment thoughtfully on what they're putting out. Great way to get on radar screens, to demonstrate authority or expertise, and to just be seen as a good online citizen, in terms of just amplifying what they're doing. Imagine you put out a post and Bill Gates chimes in and says, "Man, that was really thoughtful. Thank you." And he gives you he likes it, and he in turn shares it with his audience and adds a little context as well. And he thought that much of it. You'd be through the roof, right? So doing that at first in smaller levels, it's not going to put people through the roof in smaller levels. But when an organization participates in conversations and shares stuff and amplifies stuff that the little guys are putting out, it really builds appreciation. And that's a really critical aspect of any relationship. So showing that you're a listener as opposed to just a talker. The third way is the most challenging, but it's absolutely necessary, is distributing your own original ideas. That involves creating content, sharing your own journey, documenting what's going on in the company or with individuals in the company, sharing beliefs and perspectives. People rally around others with similar beliefs or like-minded mindsets, So creating content, back to the buyers, right? The marketing formula, the who, where, the what we're going to give them, or the bait, I should say, is all about creating content. This might be premium content offers like ebooks or videos or long form written stuff that is going to answer questions and is going to bring your own ideas to the forefront. And if you're doing a good job of curating, so balancing your own ideas and demonstrating that you're looking at other people's ideas and engaging with other people's ideas, people are going to start to appreciate your ideas more. Very, very similar to real life human engagement, just done at scale online. Okay, this is our content machine. This is how we as an agency deploy content. We do this in slightly different ways for different companies, but in basic terms, this is how it works. So it looks like a lot, but it's simpler than it looks. So in the top left, we've got the origination of an idea. So we got a story, maybe an interview or a presentation that you did, or a video that somebody did, or some case study, or a long form written piece of content, or an article, or whatever, or just an idea. Sometimes I'll take stuff like just from a real detailed email that I send out to somebody, that becomes an idea or a topic that would then become, typically it goes to becoming a podcast. And I believe that audio is going to be critically important over the next 10 years or so. I see my kids doing it already. They just ask Google or Alexa what they want or to play a song. And so having an audio brand is going to be critically important down the line. Having a podcast that delivers value, that's not just talking about how awesome you are, is a really, really, really good strategy right now. And the other thing about a podcast, ultimately, all this content stuff is you want to make it as consumable, as easy to consume as possible. That means you're meeting your end users in the places where they prefer to be met, not where you prefer them to be. So some people like to read stuff, some people like to watch videos, some people like to listen to stuff. Listening, podcasts are really interesting because it's passive consumption. You can be driving down the road, you could be at the gym, you could be hitting golf balls, and you can be listening to stuff at the same time. You can't do that with reading or watching videos. So podcasts are really, really easy to produce. All this stuff is more documenting usually what you're already doing, as opposed to creating some new thought ideas, new hot thing every single week or every day or whatever. So documenting what you're already doing and then moving that to audio. So when we create a podcast, it's really easy. From there, we've got software that can transcribe that podcast. It's not perfect technology. It does take some lifting to clean it up, but we basically transcribe the audio, turn it into written form, and then somebody edits that up, and we turn that into long form written content. We add some subheaders, add some images, things like that. It becomes a blog post that lives on your website. It might become a LinkedIn post. LinkedIn has incredible organic reach right now, meaning when you put out a piece of content, a lot more people are seeing it. Whereas a platform like Facebook, if you make a post, only a very small percentage of your followers actually see that content. But LinkedIn is like its own separate search engine where you need to be putting content. Long form written content is great. Blog, something that lives on your website is ideal. Might become a press release or a long form Facebook post, or Medium is another excellent. I guess it's considered social media because there is engagement and things, but Medium is with more or less gated written content, so the quality of the content there is really good, and there's no sales pitches, there's no ads on it. I think it's $5 a month to consume all the content on there you want, but it's really good stuff, and another good place to move that long form written type content. So we've got our idea, we've got audio, now it becomes long form written, put out in different places. From there, if we go straight across, what we do is we dig into the long form written content and we parse out little segments, little snippets, quotes, ideas, thoughts that could possibly stand alone on their own. And those become micro social posts, and those are going to be amplified through each of the different platforms, providing context in slightly different ways. People go to LinkedIn for very different reasons than they go to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. There's different audiences. People are there for different reasons. But we can take stuff out of the long form written content, turn it into stuff that stands alone, maybe add a little image or a meme or something like that. And that becomes a whole array. Each article becomes a whole array of micro posts that are scheduled out and posted for weeks and months down the line, so that you're building this snowball effect where, let's say you've got one blog that lives on your website. Now you've got, literally, I've had a single blog that produces over 100 social posts scheduled out over 8 or 9 months. Depending on how evergreen the content is, you could even go further, spreading it out, so linking back to your blog or providing content that is just living on the social medium that you're posting on. There's a whole science to all that we could get into. But in basic terms, you've got your long form written, you're amplifying with all these micro posts that are scheduled out over time. It's like a comet, you got the heart of the comet, and then you got this tail that goes after. And when you start stacking stuff on a regular basis, now you start building up a lot of messaging that's going out on a daily basis for your organization, building your brand. In the middle there, those are what we call premium content offers. So those are high value pieces of content, ebooks or guides or white papers or gated videos or tutorials or step-by-step stuff. But what we do is take the long form written content, take the good stuff that kind of belongs together and can go together, and we can compile that into an ebook really easily. So we take like four articles that talk about the four signs that your golf club is heading for a struggle in the next 2 years. Four things that you should look at a facility before you join the club, something like that. We've written 4 different articles on 4 different things. Now we just compile them into an ebook, slap a title page on it, and give it a compelling title. And now it's an ebook that somebody can download. It'll live on our website. We amplify that as well with social media, but that becomes something that we can leverage in the sales process. So when we're meeting with owners or we're meeting with people, we can deliver that. It shows that we have authority. We've thought about this stuff in advance. It's a nice, easy thing for somebody to take to their supervisor or run it up the flagpole. And it's also something that serves as a lead generator, meaning it can live on our website. It's something that we give away to people that are strangers poking around on our website. We give it away in exchange for their contact information. That becomes a lead. Once we have their contact information, they're in our ecosystem. They've taken that first step in the value ladder, so to speak. We've got a nurturing sequence that helps to stay top of mind, continues to deliver value on the things that they care about over a long, extended period of time until they're ready to initiate contact walk in the door, come out and see what we got, that sort of stuff. Okay. Now, bringing this full circle, we've got these premium content offers. What we do originally is look at, remember the marketing formula, the simple marketing formula. We've got our personas. We've mapped out what their questions are, what their challenges are, what they're facing, what their ambitions are. We say, okay, what ebooks, what guides would we ultimately like to have? We make a list. We make a list of a dozen or 20 guides that we would love to produce someday. And all we do is start producing blogs or podcasts or little interviews on those subjects. We start producing content, then that puts it into the machine. It gets churned out and it gets amplified with those micro posts. And as we're building blog articles, we're also building the premium content offers that are going to make sense for us to market and complete that buyer's journey and really deliver value to people. So that's what drives this engine. Okay. That's really, really all of that in a nutshell. There's so much more to it, but in principle, that's our content machine. That's what we do to blow out a bunch of content for companies at scale. So what is this going to look like for a golf management company? So what we've talked about is, this is the aspect of so we're going to start with redesigning the website. And this is the aspect that every management company has. This is talking about golf course management, our sets of beliefs, why a company would hire us, how we go about our business, what we deliver when they sign a golf course management contract, all our services, the facilities, our portfolio, all that stuff. That's what every company is doing. We definitely need a really strong presence here. This is sort of the bottom of the sales funnel, or at least the place where our target audience is going to always end up looking when they begin or they become aware of our company. They say, okay, I've got a problem. Let's check these guys out. We do need a strong website to showcase that. Easy stuff. That's what we're going to start with. From there, we want to plug in what we call marketing automation. So this is what's going to help us track user behavior. So people that crawl around on our website, we've got analytics, we've got a system that allows us to track what pages people are clicking on, what they're interested in, even extending out to social media engagement, so that we can map out for every individual, every lead that is generated on our website, we can look at a complete history of all the pages they visited, all the emails we've sent them and what they've written back, and all of the social engagement. So we have a very clear picture of what problems they have, what things they're interested in, so that we can create workflows that are relevant for those people, stay top of mind, delivering helpful stuff that they're interested in, not just blanket stuff. In doing so, the more they engage, the more they look at, we can score those leads. So we can say, okay, this lead is worth 100 points. He's clicked on a bunch of stuff and engaged. He's looking, he's hot. We need to reach out to them now because they're much more likely. This is a top of mind thing for him right now, versus another guy that's maybe a 15. He's maybe opened a couple emails, that sort of thing. So we can spend our time more wisely in terms of blanketing everybody. We can cherry pick on a weekly basis or whenever. We can cherry pick the top lead scores and target them and try to win their business and make best use of our sales efforts. Ultimately, delivering more relevance, understanding what people are interested in, we're going to hopefully deliver more at-bats, more conversations, more meetings, more sales calls, those sorts of things. But also in those sales calls, we're going to be armed with much more information about what we feel is going to resonate with that sales opportunity. So when we get in the room with a golf course owner, we understand that they're interested. They've looked at, the 5 things that you need to do before you sell your club, the 4 things you need to think of before you join a club. Maybe they're thinking about selling their facility. They've poked around on our sales and acquisition page. They've engaged with certain content on social, And we've got a little bit of a picture so we can walk in the room with examples of other clubs that we've done similar things with. We can be much more armed to win that business when we do get in the door. So more at bats and a higher close rate. That's what we're shooting for. Okay, so we got our owner operator, our company website. We leverage some marketing automation to nurture and move people along in a relevant way. From there, this is where it gets really interesting. This is where we're going to win the attention game of the end consumer. So what my game plan would be to layer on top of this company website. When people go to our home website, I don't necessarily want them to go to the company website. I want them to go to a page that is highly targeted for end users. So the ability to book tee times, online instruction, hot deals, travel opportunities, stories, podcasts, articles. Less than 10% of this stuff, in my vision, is for operators and operations and talking about golf course operations, right? Very few people are going to be interested in, the fact that you offer agronomy services. A lot more people, a lot more end users, golfers are going to be much more concerned about, hot deals to be able to play for a discount or traveling to, cross-pollinate your facility memberships from one area of the country to the other on a seasonal basis. Online instruction is a really, really good nurturing technique because it's, there's no sales pitch. You're just delivering value. You're giving them some things that they can do on their own time. But winning the attention of end users, producing content at this level, targeting that content into the ecosystems, the geographies where we're hoping to be, winning attention of the end users, the audiences in the geographies where we see opportunity, or our current facilities. We can target certain geographies. We can deliver content. We can build brand in those areas, make our current management contracts more sticky, but also reach into areas in a highly targeted way, deliver value to end golfers and users in those markets. And by virtue of those end users and building brand, owners, board members, club operators get wind of it. And every now and then they're going to go to the site, they're going to go there, and they're going to be able to click a button to dig into the operations side. And that's when they move into our ecosystem from a sales perspective. But meanwhile, our focus is on the end users, just like UPS, just like Wells Fargo. You go to the UPS website or Wells Fargo, those are for end users. Right? But businesses that they do business with, they recognize, they're seeing firsthand how cool, how engaging their stuff is for end users. That makes them want to do business with that particular company. Same in golf management. If we can demonstrate, imagine walking into the room with a golf course owner and they're asking you, okay, so what do you guys do different? And they've already talked to 3 different management companies. You start talking about buying power and expertise, that's just more of the same shit. When you say, I want you to see, have you looked at our website? Chances are, by the way, because they've engaged in your stuff and they've seen your stuff, that conversation is framed very different. That question might come at you in a little different way. Like, hey, we looked at your website. Your golf course operation stuff is off on the side. You have all this instruction and tee times and stuff like that. We really liked that. What's your game plan with that? That's perfect, because now you're saying, well, we're aligning with golf course owners by winning the attention of end users and getting them out to the facilities. We can demonstrate that we have the attention of people in your ecosystem, and we're going to bring business in the door that you wouldn't otherwise have if you went with another company or you continued to manage your facility on your own. That is going to strike a chord with these golf course owners. So this is a long-term play. This is about documenting things that we're doing. By the way, the stories that we tell are, I envision 1 out of 5 stories maximum is about golf. Honestly, we're not just sitting here talking about golf. Golf stories attract golfers. What we want to do is reach out into other areas. We want to talk about nutrition and travel and hiking and fishing. And we might want to do an interview with a member at a facility that was in the military that went to Iraq for a year and have him tell his story. And now, there are different things that resonate with different people. And when, there are people that care very much about the military and serving our country as they should. And so putting out a story like that reaches beyond the golf community, and it might entice somebody who's never tried golf or is indifferent about where they play, or they just saw that and now they're consuming a little more of the content. Maybe they check out a lesson now online. Maybe they come out for a free clinic at one of your facilities, and now they're moving into our ecosystem. We're winning their attention. That's what owners want. That's the stuff that real owners want. And that's the stuff that golf course management companies are not very good at right now. And I'm telling you, it is very doable. It is very doable when we work at it in a targeted way, in an intelligent way. We add in, we implement this content machine to document what you guys are already doing, but just leverage that at scale in terms of awareness. So this is how it works. So end users, we're attracting people to the front end of the website where we're delivering value for golfers, but some small percentage are going to be owners, board members, staff. Owners, board members, staff, they play golf too, and they know golfers. And so when they come to the front end, a small percentage is going to cross over to the operators, the golf course management stuff, and they want to dig into that. Here's where it gets really cool. So a lot of this content that we're producing for the end users on the front end of the website, a lot of that is, number one, it's evergreen, and a lot of it is universal. When we tell this story about the military guy that goes to Iraq, that's not necessarily for something for Raleigh, North Carolina, or Orlando, Florida. That is universal. So what I would envision is facility websites. So we've got this end user content on the left-hand side here that is search engine optimized. We're driving a lot of traffic. We can show those numbers that we're driving traffic to the front end of this website. What we do is we'll plug in facility websites to channel that traffic to them as well. So when a facility website is within this ecosystem, they're able to, they're obviously targeting local users, right? So that's very geo-centric, and we can amplify using paid reach, things like that. But the content that we're building already, we're documenting, we're doing stories, we're doing a podcast, we're writing articles and things like that geared for end users. That can trickle down to facility websites by tagging and categorizing, things like that, to the local level, right? So we all know golf courses are not equipped to produce valuable content at scale on a regular basis. They've demonstrated time and time again, it's just too much heavy lifting. They're understaffed and people are busy doing other stuff. But what if they were able to plug into an ecosystem that not only delivered valuable content that they could roll out in their own email newsletter, in their social media, they can amplify it on their own in their local sets, right? That flips that ratio of asks versus delivers, right? Gives versus asks. Are we giving value? Are we asking for value? Right now, country clubs are just putting out stuff like, hey, come sign up for this event, right? Come buy our stuff. Come take advantage of this special. That's cool. They can continue doing that. But in between those posts, they're going to have a whole bunch of cool content and stories and lessons and online stuff that they're going to be able to push out to their audience to give value, give. And then every now and then they get to ask, and people are going to be listening. Okay. Not only that, they're plugging into all the SEO, all the traffic that we've got at the top level. This left-hand side is a very robust content machine that trickles down to the local level. Okay? That's really what we're ultimately looking at. They're plugging into the ecosystem, and once they get accustomed, they get addicted to that ecosystem, content that comes their way automatically. They don't have to worry about it. It gets pushed out through email and social. They have something to lean on. it's either done for them or very, very minimal effort on their end, and they're plugging into the SEO, the traffic, the cross-pollination. You're winning the attention of the end user, and you're keeping them engaged over a long period of time. That, my friends, is the best sales pitch that you could ever give to an owner. Not talking about buying power and processes and expertise. When you say, we have an ecosystem that generates X amount of traffic every month, we produce this amount of content, these amounts of social posts, this amount of engagement and awareness, and the national level or East Coast or wherever you happen to be, that content, the evergreen stuff, the stuff that could resonate with your audience can trickle down directly to your feeds, your own local stuff. We're giving you stories and things like that you're going to be able to amplify to your audience so that you're delivering value and you're able to reach out to your audience in ways that you've never been able to do before, simply because you don't have the infrastructure to do so. That's going to resonate. That's going to bring golfers in the door at these local facilities they wouldn't have other had, and it's going to continue. It's going to build. It's going to keep going. So they're never going to want to step out of that ecosystem and go try to do it on their own again. That makes them stickier. So that's what I got. That makes some sense, guys. I'm glad to answer any questions. I think we're pretty good on time, and I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate the time.